Calaroga Shark Media.
Wait till you hear this one. I couldn't wait to tell you about it. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Do you hear the grin on my face? Oh, I love a good comedian fight. Sean McCarthy writes for the Daily Beast. Sean was at the New York Public Library on Wednesday. So was Cliff Nestoroff. He has a new book called Outrageous, A History of Showbiz and the Culture Wars. Appearing on stage with Cliff, Mark Marin. Mark Marin took a question about Matt Rife. Marin said, well, first of all, don't jump the gun on Matt Rife. If you don't know who he is, he's the new it boy of crappy comedy, and he's taking a big chance in his career right now to crap on the mostly female audience that he accumulated through social media to sort of kiss up to these pseudo edgelords. And personally, I don't think it's going to go well for him. And ultimately, my producer Brendan McDonald, the genius, made a good point in saying that he thinks Matt Rife is actually mobilizing a new generation of comics to push back against what it stands for, much the way that Dane Cook did at a different time to once again, be creative and bring a new energy and voice to what that doesn't represent. So maybe within show business, there is hope. Nestoroff talked about the connection between Matt Rife and Dane Cook. Marin joked that Rife might have a righteous grievance before adding, I forget, this is going out on the internet right now. And he dropped an F-bomb. And now I'm going to have to deal with Dane calling me, hey, dude, I thought we were good. Hey, look, we're all in the same business. We're just trying to entertain people. Marin and Nestoroff talked about Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, Richard Pryor. Nestoroff said they weren't merely trying to be provocative. Today, there's a whole genre of provocateur comedy where a guy will go up on stage, will say a word that he knows is going to get an ooh and an ah, says the word or the statement, gets the ooh and the ah, and the comic is like, what? You designed it to get that reaction, and now you're feigning this outrage. Marin said, it's a false premise, it's a hackneyed idea. What they're actually doing is co-opting the idea that they're free speech words, and they're actually fighting for the ability and not the right, but the space to further marginalize people. Nestoroff, but it's two forms of free speech pressing against each other, and if you're going to defend only the bigot, not the anti-bigot, who the F are you? What's wrong with you? Marin, I'll tell you who they are. It's half the country. They perfected this propaganda because they're very organized. It's been going on for a long time with the whole idea of wokeism. Generally speaking, what does that even mean? It's this amazing umbrella term for everything the right's been pushing back at. Just takes over everything, and it makes it this single object-focused ideology, which doesn't even mean anything. And now the big word. What saddens me is there were guys and one woman, Roseanne, who were pretty amazing comic talents who have sort of fallen for this idea that they're being muscled to not be able to express themselves. In the book, Nestoroff condemns the David Spade sitcom Just Shoot Me, and also Dawson's Creek, and says they are leading to the downfall of America. Marin said, and I think the point is here, these guys just have to die sooner. We're seeing with Bill Maher now. Marin realizes what he's done and says, again, I'm going to be fielding calls and probably some tweets that are not going to, it doesn't matter. I love this. More from Marin. What we don't realize is at any given point in time, the 10 comedians that are popular, there's literally 1,000 that no one effing knows about. And I think it's the same generally now, whether the platforms, whether it's TikTok or whatever, there are a lot more comics and a lot more visibility. You can get content out there that'll put you on the radar. But in order to sustain a career in show business, you must be able to do the job, and the nature of that job doesn't seem to really change that much. But I do think this is different. And I think that ultimately what happens that is sad is that when I see these younger comics or comics a couple generations from me and they think they're doing something amazingly new, it's really not. And they think they're inventing it. And I guess every generation does. But I think there's hope in that seems that true artists and true comics and people that really have something to say and are creative generally surface in a big way. So I think that's optimistic, right? Oh my goodness, I love that. Hopefully Bill Maher and Dane Cook get annoyed at this and Matt Rife shoots back because it's December. I'll take all the content I can get. This is wonderful. I love it. Keep going, Mark. Moontower announced the lineup for the now very wordy titled Moontower Just for Laughs Austin. Moontower Just for Laughs Austin will take place April 10th through the 21st. Headliners include Andrew Schultz, Shane Gillis, The Office Ladies Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey, Kathy Griffin, Nicole Byer, Mark Marin, and a screening of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, followed by a Q&A with Alan Ruck, who played Cameron in the movie, as well as Connor Roy on Succession. You know that guy. Also played Captain John Harriman in Star Trek Generations. The State will reunite Michael Ian Black, Thomas Lennon, Michael Patrick Jen, Kevin Ellison, Kenny Silver, Joe Latruglio, David Wayne, and Ken Marino. That's pretty cool. So I thought this was fun. I saw a breakout. There's Moontower 2024 headliners, and then a section called Also Performing. All right, so your headliners are, here comes John reading a list if you want to hit skip, Amy Sedaris, Andrew Schultz, Ari Shafir, Brad Williams, Kat Cohen, one of your headliners. Darcy and Jer, remember I talked to them back in the summer? They're pretty cool. Desi Banks, one of your headliners. Frankie Quinones, Joe Pera, Kathy Griffin, Ken Flores, one of your headliners. Mark Marin, Margaret Cho, Per Biggs, Mo Hart, Nicole Byer. The Office Ladies, Roy Wood Jr., Shane Gillis, The State Reunion, and Sugar Sammy. Now, in the also performing, I won't read all the names, but some of the also performers catching my eye. Todd Barry, who in my opinion has the best special of the year, also performing. Also performing, the Sklar Brothers. Also performing, Shane Torres. Also performing, Liza Traeger. So I'm not sure why they're broken out into the also performing, but Moontower looks pretty good. Shane McGowan from the Pogues, who passed away this week. We have learned he spent his final months binging on Father Ted. Another Father Ted mention. I'm telling you, Father Ted's where it's at. Find it. I told you about it the other day. His wife Victoria told The Sun. So he wouldn't get bored, we brought in a DVD player to Shane, and we've given him presents of classic movies on DVD, and apparently episodes of Father Ted. The New York Football Giants have a bye today, but Tracy Morgan has been joking about their quarterback, Tommy DeVito. You know about this guy? Everybody on the Giants got hurt, and some dude named Tommy DeVito has been playing quarterback. DeVito lives at home. Why? Because his parents' house is right by the stadium. He's like, it's just easy. NJ.com spoke to Tracy Morgan about New York Football Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito and said, hey, Tracy, when did you move out of your mother's house? Because you're starting quarterback right now. Tommy DeVito still lives with his mom and dad. Tracy said, that's a good thing. That's healthy. He needs all the caregiving he can get. You can't just get coaching on the field. You got to get coaching at home. Coach Brian Daboll won't tell him to make his bed. NJ.com. But that's a grown man, Tracy. You can't live at home when you're making $1 million. DeVito will actually make $900,000 this year. Tracy said, sure you can. I did. I was living at home when I got hit by that Walmart truck. My mother said, thank God it was Walmart and not Walgreens. That's a great joke, Tracy. AZ Central took my chair on Old Man Mountain, and they wrote, hey, remember when Eddie Murphy ruled comedy? They're self-aware and wrote, I know, pull up a chair and let me grab my ear horn and I'll finish with my geezer story. Murphy shot to fame on Saturday Night Live and starred in great movies like 48 Hours and Trading Places and good movies like Beverly Hills Cop and was the most exciting stand-up comic since Richard Pryor. Now, Murphy makes movies like Candy Cane Lane, a more decent than you think Prime Video holiday family film. The point is, Murphy used to be the funniest person on the planet. Now he's not even the funniest person in the movie. In fairness, he's not trying to be, but still. Apparently, Eddie plays the straight man for much of Candy Cane Lane. He stars as Chris Carver, a husband and father who loves Christmas. Although, despite his best efforts, he can't win the annual holiday decorations contest on his block. Again, I don't know how this is not an Adam Sandler movie. This screams Adam Sandler to me. Anyway, plot points don't matter. The important part for the purposes of this podcast is apparently Chris Redd is very funny in it. The AZ Central writes, everything that comes out of the mouth of Chris Redd's character is comedy gold. He's hilarious. 2.5 stars. TV Insider wrote, who will be the new host of The Daily Show? 17 options ranked. I have not looked at this because I like to react as I see it. Least likely, they say, Al Franken. The former senator had the highest ratings of the guest hosts earlier this year. That's interesting. But TV Insider says if Comedy Central wanted an older host that would excite fans from all generations, it would need to be Jon Stewart. Also in the least likely category, John Leguizamo. Yeah, I agree. That's not happening. Least likely, Hassan Minhaj. Wow. He basically had the chair. Oops. Least likely, Roy Wood Jr. They said Roy has made it clear he's moving on. Least likely, Chelsea Handler. They rate, I don't think she'd want the full-time gig. I'm not so sure about that. Least likely, Sarah Silverman. They say the same applies to Sarah Silverman that applies to Chelsea Handler and John Leguizamo. They're good fits as guest hosts, but got other stuff going on. Least likely, Leslie Jones. They don't think she would want to commit to one big thing. Not so sure. Likely, Ronnie Chang. During the week, there was an interview with Ronnie Chang. He didn't seem interested in it. Likely, Michael Costa. He was the first guest host of the new roster that kicked off in October. Haven't seen much buzz on Costa. Likely, Desi Lydic. She could be a really good choice. Let's keep an eye on her. Also during the week, there was an interview with her. Likely, Dulce Sloan. Likely, Jordan Klepper. They point out he's the last remaining correspondent who was on the show when Jon Stewart was host. Likely, Michelle Wolf. I think she would be fantastic. And they write, likely, Jon Stewart. That's not happening. That said, I have advocated for an idea where The Daily Show moves to CBS proper and Jon Stewart comes back. But I guess you could just give Jon Stewart a political show on CBS and not brand it with The Daily Show. I don't know. I think it makes a lot of sense. They've got Paramount Plus as a streamer. John's Apple gig is over. It's an election year. Maybe Jon comes back for a year and you figure it out from there. Maybe Jon does 4 nights a week and you let somebody else do the 5th day so we get used to them like they did 30 years ago with Jay Leno and Johnny Carson. TV Insider has Charlemagne the God as likely. Charlemagne is back hosting this week. They have Jesus Nice in the likely category. I thought his appearance was not as awesome as the other appearances. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Ooh, now the most likely category, Kal Penn, who will guest host again on week of December 11th. TV Insider reminds us Kal Penn was the Associate Director of the White House Office of Public Engagement and Intergovernmental Affairs during the Obama administration, and starred on his own show, The Big Picture with Kal Penn, that's similar to The Daily Show style. I don't remember that show at all. They add, as a bonus, Penn is a gay South Asian man, which would diversify the late-night talk show space. And that is your comedy news for today. You can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Overcast, Podcasts, wherever you get your shows. If you like the show, tell somebody about it. They might like it too. See you tomorrow.